Welcome to Doxa HR Consulting. This is my first YouTube video, so I'm excited to start this journey. My name is Doxa Mensa. I am an HR, Human Resources, Employee Relations professional. I have been in the HR space for close to 16, 17 years, so I'm excited to start on this journey and share some knowledge and support people. My details are in the YouTube channel description. Please like, share, subscribe so we can dive into the world of HR. I do provide services as well, so you can check out my website and we can connect there. But today, the goal of this video is just spend some time talking about the performance review cycle and what you as an employee can do to make sure that you do have a successful performance review cycle. I do have some ebooks coming out on these, and so you can get those on my website as well. And so let's jump right in, shall we? So, what is a performance review cycle? Have you ever wondered what that is? Well, and most companies have these year end cycles or mid-year check-in, whatever it is. It is simply a process to set goals, employees and managers to set goals, receive constructive feedback, and enhance performance. That's really it. And also review compensation. And so you as an employee would have to have an active participation. I have come across so many employees leaving their life of their performance cycle to their managers to tell their stories. That is not going to happen this year. You have every right as an employee to speak to what you've done in the previous years, to kind of provide feedback to your manager, and to show up authentic during the review cycle. Okay, especially when you have the opportunity to do a self review. And so we want to walk through what that is. So, what are the key objectives of the performance review cycle? Let me break it down. That cycle sometimes can span on 3 months from start to finish. And then there's also a mid-year check-in that is not as exhaustive as the annual check-in, but that's just to see how where we are and all of that. And so the goal of the performance review cycle one is to assess performance of the previous year. Okay. So you identify for the company and you or the team to identify accomplishments and areas of improvement. It's to set goals. It's to set clear and achievable objectives for the future, and to promote open dialogue between employees and managers. And this is where I will, it's important for you as an employee to show up, and with one other segment for managers, but this is just you as an employee, and encourage development, provide opportunities for learning and development. Okay. Now, people will ask, what has that got to do with me? A lot, because it is the opportunity to make sure you are in sync and understand the expectations that your manager has for you, but also have the opportunity to provide your feedback on how things are going. There are basic steps of performance manage review cycle, and every employer is different, but these are basic steps that you can find in all review cycles. There's the goal setting session. This is where managers and employees, collaborate to set smart goals. Smart goals. They are goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And this is what guides the employees' focus and priorities throughout the cycle. Then there's also ongoing feedback and check-ins, which is regular check-ins between employees and managers to make sure that we are on track, address challenges, and adjust the goals. Now, the self-review. This is where the employee gets the chance to talk about their goals, talk about their contributions, and prepare for a meaningful discussion. I want to spend some time here because I've come to find that most employees leave it to chance. or leave it to their manager to tell their story based on the work you've done. But no, if you as an employee cannot pat yourself eh, on the back in a professional and humble way, nobody else can. I always encourage my direct reports or people that I've worked with or coached that you need to tell your story. Keep a record of your accomplishments and even improvement areas. Do not let your manager tell the story, because this is what is going to happen. If you do not document, okay? If you do not document everything that you have done or been able to accomplish or areas that you've improved in, you and your manager put her reviews in that, how are you going to speak to that? So even before the performance review cycle has started, I always encourage employees, and that's my advice to you: documentation is your best friend. Whether it be email, kudos through emails, a challenge you've overcome, a process you've completed, a system you set up. Keep documentation. It can be a spreadsheet of your work for 2024. Keep that and document. Because if something happens in a review and you believe that you are meeting expectations, and all of a sudden your manager says you do not meet expectations, you have your records. And what if the manager has never had conversations with you before? Okay, so keep documentation. Another thing I want to say is, even before the review cycle, having regular check-ins or one-on-ones in your manager is your time to be in alignment with your manager. If you have not started yet and you are able to, request to have regular one-on-ones with your manager. And during those one-on-ones, what do you do? I will speak to that in this, but during one-on-ones, you first of all check in with your manager, see how things are going. You're gonna have time to share your concerns, have time to make sure that the manager understands and ask for resources, and also seek feedback from your managers. And this needs to be documented and shared among you and visible to both you and your manager. I have worked, investigations where the manager is the only one who has access to the one-on-one. So most often the employee has no clue of what the manager put in that document. But the manager can say, "Oh, we discussed it," when in fact they did not. Or the employee can, keep documents to themselves. They say, "We discussed that the manager doesn't have documentation." So wherever you are, as you start to have regular check-ins during the performance year, keep one-on-one notes. It can be through whatever management system you have. Excuse me. It can be through Slacks, emails, whatever it is. Document. Keep that documentation. And for projects that you've worked that have been successful, keep documents. You want to be able to tell your story. Okay? Keep documents. And when that self-review time comes for you, do not skip the questions, my friend. Do not skip the questions. Because what are you saying? You're saying that, okay, I did not do anything this year, so you rate me how you want to, manager. That is the message you are sending across. We don't want to do that this year. So when you have the opportunity to do self-review, don't just put anything in there. Take the time. I think most companies give you a while to complete that. Take that time. Reflect on your accomplishments. Know how to articulate them so you can speak them during that self-review. Do not let your manager tell your story. I want to drill that in, because most people miss out on the benefit of the performance review cycle because they believe it's the manager's job. No, you as an employee own a piece of it. Okay? Are we on the same page? Okay. So then after that self-review, we have the manager's review. This is where the manager tells their side of the story or their observation of you. They evaluate your performance based on based on your pre-established goals, organizational expectations, and observed behaviors. Again, the manager can also tell what they've been visible to. Some of you work remotely. Some of you work hybrid. Some of you work in person. Some of you work in different locations that your supervisor. How will they know what you're working on if you don't give them visibility and how the goals are going? So as they owe a piece of the regular check-ins, you own a piece too. So they will do their reviews, and then once that is done, there's a whole calibration, there's a whole end process on the HR side that happens. Then the performance discussion comes in. This is where the real deal is. You, as an employee, should not shut down, neither should you be rude in those meetings. This is a two-way conversation between the employee and the manager. It focuses on your achievements, areas of improvement, and development opportunities. This is the time to speak to what you have done and to ask questions of the manager on the feedback or the evaluation they've given you. If you feel that there's something in there that you are not sure you are aligned in, this is a time to have a conversation. And usually, it's most companies that do this well, after the performance discussion, they give you the chance to go back and review your manager's comments. And if you need to want to respond to it, you respond to it before you acknowledge or accept it. This is also an opportunity for you, hear me out, for you as an employee to make sure that everything in there reflects your work. Now, if you haven't done the work, then I don't know what to tell you. But if you believe and you are very firm in the fact that you know you've done the work, you can speak to it, and your manager's reflection doesn't accurately tell the story, you can put in your comments. So many employees take a step back from that because they think the manager's going to do it and let them tell the story. And then they come back when they don't get the compensation they deserve or they want because they didn't speak up. Granted, it should have been this hard for your manager to see what you do, but they can't see it if you don't tell them what you do. And I want to empower employees, and that's the whole goal of Doxa HR, is to empower you as an employee to know that you have a role to play in talking about your performance and your achievements, be it at work, be it in a project you've been assigned to. Talking about your achievement is not being proud and arrogant. I think that there's a difference between being rude and arrogant about and being snobbish about and being overly confident and talking about how you do the work. But there's also a way where you can articulate yourself in the most respectful way, in the most professional way, and tell your story. And you can reach out to doxahr.com if you ever need support in that area. We'll be more than happy to guide you through what that looks like. But tell your story and have that conversation. Again, approach the conversation in a very professional and respectful way. The performance discussion is not time for bantering. It's not time for rude conversation. It is not time to disrespect each other, both manager and employees, because nothing will be achieved in that conversation. If conversations like that are going on and it's getting heated, I think the manager will be empowered to step back but you as an employee can also say, I think, I will need time to review this document or feedback and ask for feedback during that too. And as the feedback is given to you, one of the questions I've coached my clients to ask is, okay, so let me backtrack. Most companies have the performance discussion before they talk about your compensation and what you can get. right? And so one of the questions I've empowered people to ask during the performance is like, is there anything here that can bar me from getting a good comp increase? Is there anything that I have not achieved that will be really detrimental to me getting a comp? That question, I even encourage my employees to ask them before the performance review cycle, right? Because being new in a company, you don't know how the cycle runs, you don't know what's factors. So it is okay for you to ask your manager what that looks like, right? In your one-on-ones. This is a question you need to regularly ask so the manager knows that they need to give you frequent feedback so that you don't get surprised in your performance review cycle. Most employees are surprised in their review cycle. So you got to ask that question throughout your performance review. Um, and then the development planning. So once you finish the conversation, go back, acknowledgement review happens. Then the compensation happens. The raise, most companies do 1 to 5%, and there's a rating. Some companies do exceed expectations to not meeting expectations. Some do rating from 1 to 5, whatever rating scale your employer has. Make sure you understand what those ratings are and the impact to your comp. And that is a question you can ask. If you can't ask your manager, you can ask your HR department that you want to just understand what the compensation looks like, what's the rating of the performance review. You have a right to know and you have a right to ask. You are not asking for specifics, but you can reach out and ask, hey, come season, I'm preparing, the companies prepare, I would also like to know what the rating is and how that might potentially impact compensations as a whole. You have a right to ask that question. Okay. So why your participation matters. One, you strengthen relationship with your manager. Engaging in the process builds trust and rapport with your manager, and that fosters a work environment. You demonstrate a commitment to the process, and this highlights your dedication. There's also increased self awareness because it encourages you to self reflect, to know your strength, your weakness, and areas you want to improve, and what you've done well. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm gonna touch back base on two more things. Everything will be in my ebook and it will be up on drhr.com and you can purchase that. Really affordable price. So writing an effective self-review. Highlight your achievements. Tell your story. Please tell your story. Be honest. Be honest. Acknowledge your areas for improvement and your challenges you faced. Show a proactive attitude. Align with goals of the company. Connect your performance or goals. Connect your performance to the goals that were set at the beginning of the cycle. Highlight how your work supports the organization and keep it balanced. Include a mix of your strength and growth. Don't just talk about just your strength or just your weaknesses. Include a healthy mix. And when you're providing feedback in those meetings, be specific, focus on behavior, and balance up both positive and negatives, and be solution oriented in those meetings. Don't be anxious about your performance reviews because, as much as your manager is evaluating you, you're also evaluating the process. Okay? Please keep a record of your accomplishments throughout the cycle to make the step easier. And when you're being given open feedback, focus on the actionable steps. Be open to feedback in these conversations. Most employees enter performance review so close and so defensive because they think that they don't have the opportunity to speak. You do. You own a big piece of the performance cycle. Speak, speak, but be respectful and be open minded to receive feedback. I want to say that a performance review cycle is more than just a company's requirements. It is a powerful tool that you as an employee can use for your professional and personal development. By participating, writing very thoughtful self review, and engaging in constructive feedback, you can maximize your growth and potential and contribute to your company's objectives. You can gain skills that can be transferred to any organization. So, as you approach your performance review process, take an active back. Don't be passive about it. And reach out to us if you need support, docshr.com. We're more than happy to walk you through those steps. But again, keep track of your accomplishments. Write that self review. Engage in that performance discussion. And be sure you are clear on your follow ups. More to come for managers, but this is specifically for employees. If you want more details, if you want more explanation or whatever it is, please leave a comment or just head out to my website, send in a note, and we'll be more than happy to support you there. And or you can follow on Instagram and send a question via DM, and we'll be more than happy to support you. Doxa HR, we do provide services, HR solution services, but my passion is also developing people into leaders and leaders into thoughtful servant leaders. And so happy to have you here on my YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and send this out to that coworker who's always sitting on the sidelines when it comes to performance review. Thank you for your time, and I'll be back for the manager session on the performance review cycle. Okay, take care. Bye bye.